Hi, Quadcopter 101 here on a somewhat breezy day. It's been going up to about 15 knots gusts here. What I got for you today is another range test flight of my Syma X5C transmitter, modified transmitter, this time without the reflector, just with the 5 dB added antenna. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about first is, with this antenna, the transmission from this transmitter becomes directional. In other words, more energy will be coming out of the sides of this antenna than out of the tip. That's how you get the extra range. They reduce the range, or reduce the energy coming out of the tip of the antenna, and instead it's redirected out of the sides. That energy is squished out and pushed out the sides. So in effect, you have to keep the sides of the antenna pointed at the quadcopter off in the distance, wherever it is. So if I'm holding it as such like this, this gives us good horizontal range no matter where the quadcopter is pointed. But a lot of flyers like to tilt their antenna to the side like this. And what this does is gives you good range no matter what elevation the quadcopter is in. But when you fly it like this, you always have to keep the transmitter pointed toward the quadcopter in the distance. So in effect, think of a donut radiating out from the sides of this antenna wherever it's at. And if you keep the antenna pointed at the quadcopter, you can go no matter what altitude you're at, you should stay within the beam of this antenna. Compared to the antenna vertically like this, no matter which direction horizontally you are, you should be good, but you might have problems if you start to climb too high, drop out of the donut of the antenna. If that happens, well, you should be able to, as you drop, you should drop back to the reception. So I prefer to fly like this, because I don't have to pay as much attention to pointing the transmitter at the quadcopter. Just as long as I'm at a reasonable altitude, I should be able to stay within the donut of the transmitter. So let's go for a flight. I got the quadcopter already turned on. Let's point it in this direction toward the wind. Always take off into the wind. Binding it to the quadcopter. Wait, I didn't turn on the quadcopter. Okay, I think that's on. Double check. Yep, lights are blinking. Transmitter's on. Binding to the quadcopter. Going to expert because of the wind today. Let me try to rebind again. Okay, in expert. And let's see how far downwind or upwind I can go. Now, on windy days are great for testing range. And the reason being that if you send it up to a little bit of altitude and fly upwind, always keep the quadcopter upwind. If the quadcopter loses reception and drops, it should fall back into the beam of the antenna, and as the wind blows it back toward you as it's falling. So it should blow it back into the reception range of the transmitter. Okay, I'm out past 100 meters right now. I'm going to send it up a little bit higher. Having a hard time fighting this wind. This wind is picking up. We're 15 knots, maybe closer to 20 right now. Quadcopter's getting very hard to see. I'm out past 150 right now. I'm guessing I'm out past 150 because it's just a white dot out there right now. But I'm keeping it below about 200 feet. Again, you don't want to bust 400 feet, which is very easy to do with this antenna. You can't seem to get any farther than this. I'm full pitch, people, and close to full throttle. Well, about 3/4 throttle right now. At full pitch. I'm going to go back to beginner and let it fly back. Beginner can't fight this wind at all. Okay, let's bring it down. Going back to expert. Trying to dive into the wind. I guess this is about the fastest the Syma X5C can fly. About 15 knots. Because it's just barely able to go out there. 50 knots is a good wind, folks. It's a good velocity wind. It's still got good reception. I'm way out in those bushes. Now again, this modification costs about $6 to make. This antenna is $350 on Banggood, and the cable and connector that you're going to need is about $250 on Banggood. You do need to have some soldering skills to be able to do this. If you don't know how to solder, don't try this. You'll probably damage the board, and then you'll be crying back to me that, oh, I broke it. I broke my transmitter. It's not my fault. I warned you. Okay, I'm a good 200 meters out, folks. That's a little dot out there. Little white dot. Okay, I better bring it in. Going to hover. Letting the wind blow it back. Reducing throttle. Greatly cutting back on throttle. Letting it drop, actually. It's so hot. Okay, here we go. That's the wind. Whoa, almost smacked into those stands there. Okay, this works. This works very well. I'm pleased with it. I'm very pleased with this antenna modification. And the reason being, I love to use my Syma X5C as a camera bird. And with this antenna modification, I can do some pretty cool flights with my 808 keychain camera. I'm sending this over by the pylon right now. Now, one of my viewers recommended that I test the range by placing the quadcopter on the ground and then letting it go to hover, and then walking down the lake bed here until I lose reception. Just bringing it to hover. It's too windy of a day to do that, but I am going to do that in the future. That is a very good idea. Quadcopter back in. Again, without that, way past 150 meters there. So bringing it in, high-speed pass. Okay, 15 plus 15, that was about 30 miles an hour, I guess. Okay, it's having a hard time fighting this wind. I'm going to land it right there. Let's see if I can bring it up to me, at least. Fighting the wind, fighting the wind. But this has worked very well. I can't go into this wind anymore. The wind's just picking up too much. You haven't figured it out right now. I'm trying to get a thumbnail picture for this. Fighting this wind. Okay, that's enough. Landing the quad. I flipped it. I was trying to avoid that. Okay, well, this is my Syma X5C with the transmitter mod. I'll include details on this below in the video info section. Quadcopter 101, I hope you enjoyed today's flight. Quadcopter 101 signing out.